In the Hitman games, players have freedom to do practically anything their hearts desire. So, naturally, the first thing they did with that freedom was indiscriminately kill everyone in every single level. And some even went as far to do it without a single body being found. But I'm going to take it to the absolute extreme. I'm going to complete Hitman's most populated level, the Isle of Sigale, without anyone realizing someone died, without changing disguises, and without being seen by anyone for even one frame. How is this even possible? Join me, and let's find out. For this mission, I'm going to a huge party for rich people on a secluded island. And before the challenge even begins, I have to choose what to take with me. I didn't know exactly what I would need, so I went with a general approach. I took a lockpick, an explosive device, an emetic dart gun, and a silenced pistol. I also chose to spawn in the keep, as it was the only spawn that gave me a bit of space to move around without being seen. I spawn in, and immediately the mission has a pretty serious problem for me to face. Not only does it have over 350 characters for me to kill, but there's also a man walking around called the Constant that I'm not allowed to kill without instantly failing the mission. And I wasn't kidding when I said I'm killing everyone, so I'm going to have to somehow find a way around that at some point. Things started out fairly simple. I headed down the stairs, saw some guards, opened a door, and got spotted, which is signified by that yellow arrow on screen. I tried again, and got spotted again. I tried for an embarrassing amount of time just to get a couple people killed before finally getting into the groove of things. Eventually, I was able to take down the first two guards in the building by turning on the sync to distract one and separate them. Also, see that in the top left corner? That shows up whenever someone investigates something, including dead bodies, so I will always know when and where a body was found. With the first room cleared, I started scouring it for valuables, and in the very first building, I discovered a really funny, really abusable trick to help me with this challenge. In this building, I can find some cannonballs, a bust, and a briefcase sitting on the couch. And for some reason in Hitman, guards consider briefcases to be items that must be stored away, so they'll pick it up and take it to a designated spot. This is already great for separating guards in certain locations, but it gets even better. Some guards are incredibly lazy and will refuse to move the briefcase themselves, and instead they'll call over another guard on their radio to come do it for them. It just so happens that the only other guard in this building is one of those lazy guards, and will call other people from the other buildings to come put away the briefcase. His range isn't unlimited, but I can use this trick to eliminate about 20 guards from other buildings. And in this challenge, I'm gonna take every advantage I can, because every ounce of space I have control over can mean the difference between getting spotted or slinking past unseen. I built up a sizable pile of bodies, and eventually there weren't any guards for the lazy guard to call on, so he picked up the briefcase and did it himself, where I eliminated him and finished the pile. This building also happens to be where the Constant hangs out for a period of time, so after eliminating and hiding the guard and butler in this room, I knock out the Constant and store him here for the end of the mission, because for reasons I'll get into later, he has to be the last person that I kill. Now, with 25 people dead and finally being out of the spawn building, the insanity of this challenge was starting to set in. I could see dozens of people walking about, all looking in seemingly every direction simultaneously. I hardly had anywhere I could get to unseen, but I didn't come here without a plan. I knew ahead of time just how dense this map's population is, and I had a simple strategy in mind. I needed to control more space. While there are extremely dense areas of this map, there are also some extremely empty areas as well. If I circle around the map and take control of these less dense areas, I should be able to start chipping away at the denser areas from every direction. So, that's what I did. I started out by clearing the people roaming around the well, and also getting spotted a couple more times for good measure. I used coins, since by throwing coins, characters will turn and look where they landed, and one person will go check it out if it was close by. Lucky for me, this map has a huge supply of coins in the form of these collectible tokens. These are my most powerful tool for separating people, and it's what I use to separate and eliminate many of the smaller groups around the mission border, before stashing their bodies in the grass. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, to make this challenge just a tad harder, I banned the use of any containers or cliffs that make bodies completely impossible to find, just to keep me on my toes. During this section of the mission, I also started abusing the way the coin works. You see, when you throw a coin, you would expect it to attract nearby people, but the way the sound lure works is really strange. When the coin lands, it creates a bubble around it that only gets stopped by complete walls or doors. As a counter to this, the bubble is actually pretty big, which means if there is a single opening, it will be noticed by an NPC and they'll head over to check it out, no matter how far away it is. This means that you can lure people who are on completely different stories from you, and they will walk really long distances just to check out the sound of jingling nickels. For example, by throwing a coin on this staircase, this guy all the way over here will notice and walk all the way down where I can pop him in the head as he leans over to pick it up. This allowed me to clear out everyone except for one person on this rooftop without stepping foot up there once. As for the last guy, he never moves, so I just put him down quietly and went about my business. And at this point, I was thinking coins would completely break this challenge. I could just toss some coins, wait for people to come over, and take them out. It might take a few hours, but that's no problem. This should be a breeze. But of course, it was not nearly enough to make this trivial, because I soon found out that there are multiple spots on the map with super dense groups of characters standing in open areas that I can't get close to, along with other groups of characters in small rooms that are locked from every direction. So I was forced to continue along with my original strategy of clearing out space to take as much map control as I could. And as it turns out, as much as I could control was very little, and after a full hour and a half had gone by, my control had grown, but in very small amounts. I was able to take control of the first building, the well, 2 rooftops, and some grass. This challenge really did completely change the way the game was played. Unlocking new areas felt incredibly rewarding due to how long it took to clear areas out, but since anyone could spot me at any moment, it came with the fear that I would be seen by a character I never knew existed and be forced to go back to the last save. It actually reminded me a lot of how playing Elden Ring feels, but instead of seeing a super cool new boss when I unlock an area, I just get spotted by someone who spends their entire life just staring at the exact same spot on the floor. And I got spotted a lot. I would be too stubborn to save a lot of the time, so I would rely on autosaves for a significant portion of the run, but those only happen every 10 or so minutes, which sounds pretty frequent, but when I was getting spotted hundreds of times, that stubbornness became detrimental, and I wasted hours of my life just because I wouldn't save. But eventually, all of the easy people were down, and I had killed about 80 characters in total. In that time, I also killed my first target, but in this challenge, they don't do anything special or have anything really interesting. They're actually easier to take down since they walk further than most people, and will enter my domain at some point without me having to do anything, so I didn't even realize who I killed. Oh, was that my target? But now it was time for the hard groups. These are the groups of partygoers all standing around drinking and milling about. It's nearly impossible to get these groups to be properly split up, which is why I've been taking map control the way I have. With the amount of space I have, my strategy is to circle around the group like a shark and pick off stragglers, allowing me to get to the center unseen. This party upstairs is a great example. Since some of the guards have already been removed by my briefcase trick from the start, I was able to slowly pick off people one at a time by luring them into different rooms I had taken over. By combining my lockpick with the different ledges that cover this map, I was able to access the majority of rooms on this floor, which made this strategy extremely effective. Eventually, using this strategy, there was no one left on the floor, and I had expanded my domain to the upper party room. My second target also stumbled up here, completely alone, so I knocked her out to save her for later. I continued using this strategy to clear out the burial site, the art gallery, and one full building. I attempted to use this in the prison area underground, but it ended up being a more daunting task than I expected. Apparently, underneath the map is a prison area, one where the player rarely goes on a regular playthrough. There are like 12 or 15 guards all gathered in a circle talking with a couple other characters in the room as well. I tried just using coin bait to get rid of the guards, but eventually I got to a point where some of the guards couldn't hear the coins anymore, and there were still 4 or 5 of them standing around. So, I had to use one of my limited resources. There are a few guards on this map that drop flashbangs when pacified, and I had collected a few at this point. By lining up my flashbang in a very specific spot, I can flash the entire group and kill them all without being seen by a single one. This was fun to do, but I was trying to save as many resources as possible in case something happens later in the run, because this mission isn't done with its unique challenges just yet. There were also a couple other fairly difficult areas in the map, such as the storage room, but rather than it being like an interesting puzzle for me to solve, a lot of it was just waiting for a very long time for people to walk to coin baits like it was before. So we're gonna skip past that and get to the hardest section of this mission, the outdoor partygoers. But if you wanted to see how I did the other stuff or any other details, the entire recording is in the description to this video as an unlisted video. So if you want to waste like an entire day watching that recording, then go for it. It's in the description. So now let's move on to the hardest section of this mission, the outdoor partygoers. At first glance, I thought they would be completely impossible. There are literally hundreds of people down there, but I had to start somewhere. I found that a couple people would still fall for the good old coin trick, so I used it to eliminate about a third of the first party. It wasn't easy though, because they wouldn't actually hear it if I threw the coin on the railing. I instead had to throw it on the rock next to the railing to just enter their audio bubble, which means pretty much all of the coins end up down at the party area, so I just have to hope that people will pick them up and bring them back to me. Then I abused the briefcase trick to keep getting this woman to send guards over to me one at a time. And since my coin trick had eliminated everyone looking in this direction, I could kill each guard unseen. You may notice some people seemingly looking at me, but they are not actually real. That's not me trying to gaslight you. They actually don't exist. I call these ghost NPCs. They can't see, they can't hear, and if they get frightened and run away, they will vanish into thin air as if they never existed. They only exist to make levels look more populated, but you can't do anything to them except kill them since they all have 1 HP. An easy way to tell the difference is that real NPCs will have an outline when I go into Instinct and fake ones won't. Also, when you bump into fake NPCs, they kind of just slide around, whereas real NPCs won't move at all. I'll still avoid them as much as possible, but it's inevitable that I'll be close to them at some points. For these outdoor people, I also had to use another trick that I've been trying to avoid using this entire time, the double coin bait. Basically, once someone hears a coin, you can then throw another coin to pull them further out, and this can be done pretty much forever. It is absolutely broken and would break a lot of the strategy for this run, so I've been trying to avoid using it for as long as possible. But some specific partygoers simply weren't able to be done otherwise. I was forced to use this double coin bait in order to clear out the first party area, the upper drinking area, and the money fire. But strangely enough, in the money fire area, there were actually a couple people that wouldn't move at all, and they were all kind of looking at each other. I don't know what was up with them, but they seemingly just didn't want to move. I don't know why, they had no ears. But this is why I brought my emetic dart gun from the very beginning of the run. This thing will force someone to move by making them sick. And it's a good thing there were only a few people that had this problem, because I only had 2 shots. I only had to use the first one to remove this guy, and as he's throwing up, I'm able to kill him. Then, I can kill this woman, and only the fake NPCs will notice, so they don't count. The real woman who's still standing in the crowd, for some reason doesn't care. And with that, there was only one person left. This woman, standing alone, unaware that every other person here is dead. I took the shot and killed her. It was finally over. And I was ready to take out all of my frustration on this level on all of these ghosts. Wait, what do you mean someone got spotted? You would not believe the look of surprise I had on my face when, after killing everyone in the entire level, the suits of armor that decorate the halls and can be used as a disguise came to life and started running around finding different bodies that I had left out. It was absolute pandemonium, and the real challenge had just begun. It was a puzzle in itself to deduce where these bodies were being discovered. I would hide bodies, check to see if the knights had found more, and they always had. Most of them aren't even supposed to move, but when one of them finds a body, the others all go on alert and start wandering around, causing all of them to find more bodies, and I don't know who found the first body and who didn't. Eventually, I found the main problem was the bodies that were hidden near the helipad and the upstairs party section, with a few others that would only be seen sometimes. So, with the bodies out of the way, it was time to start killing these guys. But of course, that wasn't easy either. Apparently, these guys are practically invincible. I thought I could just use the explosives that I brought with me to take them out one at a time, but that didn't work. One guy was able to tank every explosive in my inventory. It was insanity. So, I instead thought maybe if they're invincible, I could just choke them out. But nope, no prompt appears. They don't even care about chloroform. They just stand up and keep going about their business. I thought I was going to have to kill all of these guys by baiting them into environmental kills or getting them to glitch off the map, but for some reason they can tank everything I threw at them. But 2 pistol shots to the head is enough to kill them. That's it. The guys who can survive this can't survive 2 shots to the head. Whatever. At least that simplifies things for me. There are about 10 of these guys for me to take down, and they spawn on these suit spots. Luckily, they still fall for the good old coin trick, and they never move unless prompted to, so now that I figured out how they work, they aren't too much trouble to take down. I can get them to stand facing away from me with a coin, and after shooting them once in the back of the head, they fall forward. With one more carefully placed shot, I finish them for good. I'll know if they saw me if they turn orange when I'm in Instinct, so I have to be careful because if I miss that second shot, a lot of the times they'll turn around and spot me. While I had mostly figured out how things work, there were still a few areas I was concerned about. For example, this spot has 2 guards spawn on it for some reason, but because of the initial search, they separated themselves with a curtain, and I was able to kill both of them without either of them knowing what was happening or that the other had ever died. Finally, I reached the last 2 soldiers. Both of them were at the very top of the map and facing the same direction, so I shot behind the first one to make him turn around and check it out before eliminating him. I was worried, but somehow the other guard didn't hear or see a thing, which made finishing him off child's play. Again, they were all dead, and the map was empty. Wait a second, there's still a couple of people left. Well, not people, ghosts. If you have any doubts remaining, let me prove to you that they aren't real with a quick demonstration. As you can see, there are a bunch of them running away. And yet, if I run the same direction as that giant horde, there is nobody to be found. They all simply vanished into thin air. They don't go back to where they were initially. The map remains completely empty, silent, without a single footstep to be heard. Now, it was time to finish this and do the impossible. Kill the unkillable constant and complete the level. Oh, and also kill my other target, who I left unconscious in a building to avoid having the level escapes show for the entire video. I sent her off with a bang and went to go pick up the constant. I knew how I was planning on killing the constant, but I needed to take him to the harbor to do it, the default spawn for this map. After dragging him for a while, I was ready. Here's how this works. If I kill the constant, Diana gets angry with me and says a voice line.
No. 47, that was our only...
As this voice line plays, the mission instantly ends. This is valuable because it tells me if the constant actually died or not. The problem, however, is the second the constant dies, all exits are blocked off and I can't escape. So here's the plan. By placing the constant here, I can get him to be about to fall into the harbor. I can then hit him with some non-lethal items to push him off, and as he falls into the water, I exit the mission. He then dies during the cutscene where I escape. I know he still dies because Diana says her voice line, and if I don't end this animation, I will still fail the mission, see? But if instead I end the mission during the cutscene, right after Diana says the line, I can finish the mission with every single person in Hitman's most populated map dead, without anyone even realizing someone died or having seen me for a single frame. And all that just for the game to call me a messy amateur. Thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed, please take a moment to listen to today's sponsor, me. This is nothing crazy, I just have some channel memberships up now. I think the badges I made where your onion can progressively get more rich and annoying are pretty funny. I'll also do members only polls to decide what videos to make. It's just there if you're interested, but I'm grateful that anyone watches my stuff at all. So thanks for watching, I'll see you next time.